You're listening to Season 3, Episode 10 of the Indie Film Tribe podcast with me, your host, Angela Matamocha. Welcome! Welcome back, good people. Quick reminder, this is part 2 of a two-part interview with writer, director of photography, Bruce Logan. So if you missed the first episode, you can go back to episode number 9. That is if you missed part 1. Otherwise, here we go with part 2. Thank you. Did you find it challenging coming from the world of, being a director of photography and knowing so much about lighting and setups to then work on your own film and have to deal more with actors and not just your crew?
I've always enjoyed working with actors. My earliest memories are my dad was a director of the BBC, and he kind of pioneered three-camera live drama. So he would produce an hour of television a week, and he would serialize classics like Jane Eyre and Count of Monte Cristo and that kind of stuff. So I would occasionally be allowed to go to rehearsal halls and see how the acting process worked. So it's always been very embedded. And then working with actors on commercials was always my favorite part about doing it. So it was a pretty
seamless transition, maybe?
It was, and it all starts once again in the casting, and the thing about Lost Fair is spending my own money. I wasn't even going to make the movie if I didn't find the girl to be in that part. So I started the casting process without committing to pull the trigger, and it wasn't until I found her that I was able to go ahead and commit to making the movie. Because without it, it
wouldn't have worked.
Wouldn't have worked.
Let's talk about that. How did you go about casting? So, obviously you had the script, but you knew you weren't going to give yourself the green light until you found the person. How did you go about that, and did the actors know?
Because I've been in the business a long time, I knew quite a few casting people. When they saw the material that I was going to make, they all got cold feet and they were nervous, and they were nervous about being involved in the project or asking people to, pull in their favors to come into the project.
Wow.
So, but through recommendations from people that I knew, we hired a casting director, and she worked out of a space that didn't really. I don't think we paid for the space that we used. It was kind of a cooperative, and we started seeing people for every role, and it was probably like a once a week for 6 week process.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you see union and non-union?
Yes, obviously I would have liked to have made and we had some very good non-SAG actors, but I couldn't put the whole cast together without using SAG people. So that's one of the problems that we had to deal with, and on our budget, that was very hard dealing with SAG. So but I'm glad we did, I'm very proud of the cast that we got from the movie.
All right. So earlier you said that you are self-taught in so many of these different elements of entertainment, and you said you taught yourself to write. How did you do that? Did you take classes? Did you just look at other screenplays? How did you teach yourself to write?
Most of the writing that I've done has been with partners. So I like working with partners because when you're writing dialogue, it's good to have people there, so 2 people. I think just by doing it, you know, I read all the books, you know, Lego Segre's book on playwriting was my Bible, and that's what I've always, you know, he's got all those elements in there, you know. One of the most important things that I learned in that period was his concept of static conflict, which is like a conflict that begins and then it just stays in conflict, but it doesn't go anywhere. So if you don't have rising conflict, and if the stakes don't keep upping and upping and upping, you know, it's like then you don't really have a story that grabs people and pulls them in. You know? So he was very important. I took some lessons with David Freeman, and I took some lectures from Truby. But I think mostly by writing and
by doing,
sending it to people and getting feedback, and you know, I've had some wonderful partners along the way. Pamela Smith and Steve Finley I've written both a lot of projects with, and so we taught each other as we went along. You know?
That's fantastic. So you wrote Lost Fair, you directed Lost Fair. From the time that you started the script to completion of the actual film, what was that timeline?
I co-wrote the screenplay with the woman Rachel Rohr. That I credit her as the writer because it's her story. It's about her childhood, and I saw her. I saw some drafts of some very early work, of some very early drafts of that screenplay, and I saw them on a website called Virtual Pitch Fest, which I'm a member of, and people can send work to me with a pitch, and I have to respond within 5 days to the pitch, and that's how I first met her. And then as soon as I said I would read the script, she found out where I was on and started emailing me, and she was relentless. You know, but it was obviously meant to be. And then the process of writing with her was fantastic. I would say that we were probably writing back and forth for 9 months, I would think.
Okay. So to get the okay.
And that's with her living in Victoria, and she's in a wheelchair. She's the oldest living survivor of her particular kind of muscular dystrophy that she has. And I had never met her. I recently went up to visit her in Victoria, and it was great to meet her. But that was after the whole movie was finished and and released. So yeah, it was a lot. So writing back and forth and doing drafts and was I like the part. It's not like we're sitting in the same room and we're bashing it out. So it takes a little bit longer.
All right, so that was about a 9-month process, and once you were both happy with the screenplay, you said you kind of started auditioning for like a 6-week period to find the girl.
Yes, well, 2 weeks to find the girl and decide to do it, and then the puzzle pieces came together because my friend Elliot Rosenblatt, who produced Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Bad Lieutenant, Ports of Call, New Orleans, and The Cooler.
Wow.
So he's a very experienced independent producer. Came in and told me, I told him how much I wanted to spend, and he said, well, you've got 11 days. You're going to have to work there. Alexis is in every scene in the movie, virtually, So the schedule is based on her.
Right.
And we could only work her, I think, 11 hours a day. We could only work 11 hours because she was on vacation. So
right.
So that put us into a window in August. and then so we had this start date that and then it all you just start putting all the pieces together towards that start date. And then,
All right, so you shot it in 11 days. I noticed in your credits that you'd also done some editing. Did you edit this?
I did.
You did. Wow.
And I also edited it on in Resolve.
DaVinci,
And,
really?
Yeah, and I was an early adapter of that.
It's a coloring software. It's for coloring, right?
It is. But DaVinci's going to own the world. They recently put Fairlight into DaVinci. They put Fusion into DaVinci. So they're an editing program. They're a coloring program. They're a full sound mixing program.
What?
And so but I was kind of in on as all those pieces were coming together, so it was kind of risky.
Yeah.
I think my son told me, I say, you're crazy, but I worked as a colorist for 5 or 7 years, I think, and I work in DaVinci, so I'm very familiar with that.
You know it, yeah.
And Final Cut, I never made the transition to 10.
And so many people have not.
And 7 just kind of fell off the.
After 7, yeah. Did you ever edit in Avid?
Never.
Really?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, it was. I've always been a fan of working with the media. That I hate the online process. So in other words, I don't like to transcode dailies. I like the dailies to be sitting in their original 4K form on my desk.
Woo.
And the computer is able to use those direct files, which means that you just change your project timeline resolution, and when you finish cutting the movie and coloring the movie, it's all in the same program. So there's no online process at all, and there's no encoding the dailies or transcoding.
Transcoding. And you shot in 4K, right?
Shot in 4K with the Canon C300 Mark IIs.
Oh,
and,
the Canon C3 does that, yes.
And also the XE10s, which because it's a road movie, one of the most time-consuming things is putting a car on a process trailer and shooting and lighting it. So all the car stuff in the movie was done with suction cups on the windshield or on the side windows, and these little tiny cameras that had zoom lens adjustments, and the actors just drive down the street and do the lines, So
wow, so you edited it too. So obviously, you knew your footage very well. How long did it take you to cut the picture, and did you share rough cuts with people before you finally locked?
I didn't show them cuts on a regular basis because I really wanted to, I had a vision of how I wanted it to be, and until it was that way, I don't care how experienced you are. Looking at someone's rough cut is like that's a no-win situation.
Nope.
So, yep. Because you can't say, oh, you know what, we're going to do there, we're going to do this, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. So true. So one of the problems was because I was doing this software from ground zero, I just loved it because and it took a year to cut it. Not because that's all the time that I was spending cutting, but I had all sorts of computer problems along the way, and I was my own systems engineer, and so the whole movie took place on this desktop right here, and so is
that a Hackintosh I see?
No, it's just an old Mac Tower, but it's 12 core, and it's got a brutal video card in there, and lots of RAM.
So one of the things that I wanted to really get to, obviously I wanted to know the whole timeline, so thank you so much for that, and congratulations. Yeah. So finally, you finish your film, it's ready. Did you start submitting it to festivals, or did you straight away start searching for a sales agent?
No, we went the festival route. Because we wanted to get some laurels on the poster. Because when you've got a small movie like this, you want to have these laurels on the all these film festival wins, and I think we won 10 film festivals and entered
Excellent.
maybe. First of all, we went. I was bitterly disappointed when it didn't get into Sundance.
Of course, I know.
And didn't get into Cannes, and So we have all these things that we wish it would do. But after that, then I increased the net, widened the net. What I would do next time, I would start social media on the movie the day we began shooting, and I'd have a campaign. Olga, I'm not a social media person, so I thought that I had finished the movie once it got released, but once it gets released, now I'm in a whole different space with YouTube channels and Facebook and just the whole sales procedure.
So let's talk about that, because I think this is something that a lot of first-time writer-directors or first-time filmmakers don't realize. I know this was very new to me, because for me, with my first feature, it took some time to edit. We were in post-production for quite some time, so when it's finally done, you're a little exhausted, right? But you think, okay, but at least we're done. All right, now we're done.
Okay, now where's the script for the next one? I can start writing that. What do you mean I have to do all this stuff on a daily basis to build my audience and
But yes.
You don't do it. And we just when I wrote to you, we were at I think 3.5 million streaming minutes. I talked to my distributor yesterday, and we're now at 7 million streaming minutes. So
so how do those minutes go up? Is this something that your distributor helped you do, or is this you day in and day out pushing the film?
These are reports from Amazon Prime.
Got it.
And I don't know how it's doing on all the other platforms, but the reports that I've got are from, and I don't get those directly. I get those from Linda Indie Rights.
Yes.
So I just know that I'm doing the process.
What is this process that you're doing? What are you doing?
Well, I'm doing. I did some shows with Zacuto Live Facebook shows, and I think they have a pretty wide audience. So it goes out and people see it. And you talk about the movie.
Zacuto Live.
Yes, Zacuto Live. And they're a camera accessory company that helped us in the production with equipment and stuff, And I've known them for a long time, so they love having me on their shows to talk about 2001 and all my old stuff as well. So I started doing my own social media, and my daughter was helping me for a while. I now hired someone to do that, and I'm in the middle of a 90-day campaign. I'm now a machine that's like feeding little interview snippets and new artwork and just all the stuff that she requires to make the campaign work.
So this 90-day campaign, is it towards a launch on a specific platform? Why 90 days? What's the end goal?
Well, it's so that I was offered. Did you want to do it for 2 months or do you want to do it for 3 months?
I see.
So I said let's give it a go to see what's going to happen. She was wanting. She wanted, in other words, it's going to be available in DVD and Blu-ray pretty soon. So she wanted that launch date,
great,
so that she could. She's looking for announcements,
Yes.
And right now the announcements have been the streaming minutes, how well it's doing on different platforms. So that's all I really have right now because, and all this should have started much sooner, and we should have been ready we had a short theatrical launch.
I was going to ask about that. Did you do the week-long launch?
The week at the Cine Lounge.
Yes, yes. It was like a 5-day, 7-day.
Yeah, because then I wanted to send out screeners to the Academy. I'm an Academy member, so I wanted to like get it out wide that way. And then I was really disappointed to find out that I had to have 3 screenings a day for 7 days, not 1 screening a day. So really, I wasted that opportunity. So we live and learn, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now tell me this: after you were able to do the theatrical, did you get a review? Because that's part of the benefit of doing a theatrical, right? Is to get a review before it goes on sale.
And not a great review.
That's the risk, right?
Yeah, it's a risk. And also, the other really bad mistake that we made was, you know, we had asked like all cast members and everything to get their friends to review it, and what ended up happening was that they reviewed it, and I think IMDb has an algorithm that detects whether that person is in the cast list or you know, and if you get too many 10s, they disqualify it. So our real number is, I think, 5.7, but they take up an entire point away from us for. So you got to be really careful about who reviews it on those sites, you know.
But doing the theatrical does get you a Rotten Tomatoes page, correct?
It gets a Rotten Tomatoes page, which I haven't really dealt with. I've been doing more the personal and mass marketing through Facebook and Instagram, etc.
Good.
And but you know, Linda's given me this long list of stuff that I got to do, and one of it is getting more reviews and boosting the Rotten Tomato page. So you know. There's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do, and tell me how you feel about this, because on one spectrum, I feel like it's really exciting because I feel like we as independent filmmakers are so much more empowered because we do have so many more options than say 10 years ago. However, to take advantage of these options, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's so much better than, as you say, like a. You know, if you couldn't get somebody to get a theatrical release, you know, and basically they're going to take your little movie and they're going to spend 10 times what it costs to make the movie to advertise it, make prints and advertising. You know, it's like never would have happened. So this is a blessing and a curse, you know, at the same time. So it's a blessing that we're out there and we can be on these platforms. And now you just gotta find all the different ways around, you know, how to boost your sales and to get eyes on your movie. And it's really up to you.
Yeah.
No one's gonna do it for you. You know?
That's one thing I have been doing a lot in my sort of mini episodes on the podcast, is just really impinging upon, you know, first-time directors, how it is really on you. After all is said and done, this film lives with you, not the cast, not any of the crew. It's you.
Right, exactly.
So, yes, you have all the, you know, creative control as a writer and director, but you also have all the work.
Right.
And it makes sense. Of course you would.
And unless you can put money aside in your budget, you know, and I would take at least a third of your budget for doing this process that I'm doing now.
For advertising and marketing.
Which is a huge chunk, I know, you know, especially when it's, you know, when the money's hard to come by. But that would be a ratio I would think.
30%.
Yeah.
Wow. Funny enough, I'm so happy that you talked about your theatrical. This is something that I have not made a decision about yet, you know, because a part of me feels like it doesn't make sense financially. But then I try to think big picture. Again, the reviewer, that's a risk. If it's a great review, wonderful. But if it's not, like, oh, do I want to spend these thousands of dollars to get this? But it's all a risk at the end of the day, right?
It is, but it's also a celebration of the movie. So you've got your cast and crew in the lounge on the red carpet, and you know, it's a celebration of all the work that everybody's done. So it's like, I think it's worth it. I would do it again, but I would do the 3 screenings. I would make sure that I read the Academy rules before I.
Yeah, because it wasn't just one screening a day; it had to be 3 every day.
Yes, 3 a day.
I am still, the jury's still out on that for me, because a part of me feels like our festival run was sort of our theatrical,
Right. Well, I had some filmmakers say recently, he said, I'm not sure, I'm not sure whether we're doing more for the festivals than they're doing for us, So it's definitely a symbiotic relationship. In other words, our product and our films are what are giving these festivals relevance. So it's, but I would not change that part of what I did.
So I have to ask, what attracted you to this story? One of the things I'm very passionate about, obviously, is socially conscious content and stories that need to be told that don't always necessarily want to be told because they're difficult and they're dark, but very necessary. What made you? Why is this the first time that you decide to write and direct something, and it's this story?
The story spoke to me, and if I look at things that I'm involved in, it seems that I'm into, the next project I want to do is called Garden Country, and it's about a marine pilot who is raped by a psychotic war hero.
Oh my gosh!
She tries to get justice through the system. But it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Nope.
And so she takes matters into her own hands. So
wow.
So it seems that I'm attracted to these kind of stories, and stories about women. So
and victims kind of triumphing. It seems.
And I can't say that I can't say that I have a particular passion of that subject. It's just that when I read the story, it just speaks to me. So the original pitch that she gave me spoke to me. Then I read the original draft that she did, and it was it needed work, and for instance, the main bad guy was not even a character in the script, so there was no antagonist in the script, but he was talked about by other people, So there was a lot of work to do to put the pieces in place, but it was a great relationship working with someone who had this true story, and the whole fantasy element in it as well. She has this imaginary friend who's a character in the movie that we see all the way through the movie, and that's all from. It's all true,
Is this what you're most excited about right now?
I'd like to be able to move on and do the next one, but yes, I'm still very excited about this, and I'm certainly not willing to squander the opportunity of having this on streaming sites and not giving it everything I possibly can to get it out.
Gosh, you're speaking. That's exactly how I feel right now. I'm so excited to get on with my next project, but at the same time, I can't. I have to see this all the way through, and exactly. It takes years, and it's the very end is kind of the most important when you're just like
Right, but I know now that I could have prepared myself a lot better for it. I could have had my audience half built by the time we finished shooting the movie.
Did you do more than one trailer?
No.
You did do one.
And the trailer was very rushed.
Okay.
And because suddenly Indie Wright said, "Oh, well, we want to do it next week. Where's the trailer?" And I'm going, "Well, I haven't done the trailer yet. I just finished the poster. So Um, so I put out a couple more polished versions. The graphics were awful in the first one, and the sound mix was not great. So I polished the trailer as I gone along. But
Fantastic.
It seems to work. It seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, no, the only reason I ask, because I'm thinking, because I'm now in the mindset of thinking of, marketing strategies for our release in July, I believe it's when it's going to be. And, that's on me to figure out, like, okay, how do we now get this audience interested in Elevate and getting onto Amazon and iTunes? So, your film, Lost Fair, if people want to watch it, where can they find it?
They will find it on Amazon Prime. They will find it on iTunes.
Great.
And YouTube and Google Play. And it's on Tubi TV. And it's on Xbox. And Blu-rays and DVDs to come out shortly. So, indie rights, they believe in getting it out as wide as they possibly can. So
where will these DVDs and Blu-rays be? Will people be able to buy a Blu-ray on Amazon, or will they go to the Walmart to purchase a DVD? What is that going to look like?
I wish I knew. But what I will say is that they're on demand. So they don't have to be made before the order comes in. I imagine they're going to be sold online,
Great.
You want to buy a Blu-ray. And then they make the Blu-ray and send it, So
Perfect.
you don't have to make 1,000 Blu-rays and they're sitting on a shelf somewhere and waiting to be distributed. So it's a good distribution model for the hard copy. And I didn't think it was ever going to be done, but Linda assures me that there's a good market in it for that.
What will you do differently with your next film?
I will start the social media the moment I start my first casting session.
Okay.
I will have a YouTube channel that is all my projects.
Oh.
That's going to have it's going to have what I've done in the past. So it'll have little snippets of all the movies I've worked on. Assuming they don't get taken down for copyright infringement.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And then I'll parlay the audience of this movie into the next one. And then the editing process will have to be much quicker, and I won't be the editor on it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What I know that if I had a regular editor on this, the footage wouldn't be mined. And what I mean by that is, I went through every little piece of this thing, and I said, that is a great piece of cinema right there. That's a second and a half long, and that's got to be in the movie. And editors don't really think that way. They think, oh, that's the best take, we'll use that one, and they use that take all the way through, which often works, but they don't find these little tiny gems that really put the movie over the top for me. So I'm sure I will be involved, but I will have an editor as well, so I'm not doing all the work, So he'll do the assembly, and then I'll mine all the gems and put them in,
So on your next film, you're going to start your social media earlier from casting. You're going to start getting the word out there about your film. And you're also going to hire an editor.
Yes, indeed. And let me see, are there any other things? No. There's nothing else I wouldn't want to be involved in or have less involvement in. So.
Now that you're finding yourself writing and directing, doing work on other projects, on other films as a director of photography, do you come back to that work a little bit different now?
Yes, I can't say there's been a lot of it since, because this has been so all-consuming.
Of course.
That, to take 12 weeks out and do someone's picture, not to say I wouldn't, and there were but I would probably work for friends a lot more readily than just a call that I didn't know the people and so it would be based on the script. So I guess I'll be pickier about my projects since I've done my own.
Right, because I'm sure now you just want to continue to do your own.
I do.
Oh.
It's added for me.
Oh, it is. Even as tough as it is, it's so true. Bruce Logan, do you feel, we're switching subjects, do you feel that you were put on this planet at this particular time in history for sort of a specific reason? I know you say you meditate a lot, or do you feel that your being here is random?
No, I think it's far from random. I've chosen this time around my path as an artist. But I think the real reason that I've been put on the planet is for the advancement of my soul and my soul experience. And I'm really enjoying being Bruce Logan. But I know that I can be plucked out of incarnation at a moment's notice. And the only way for me to extend my time here is to keep putting myself in positions where I continue to grow. So if I stop growing, I'm over. And apart from that growth, I think my biggest plan is to have a really good time. That's you got to have that joy that goes along with it.
Love it. Thank you so much for being with me and with us here today, Bruce Logan. This was just simply awesome. Thank you, Indie Film Tribe, for hanging out with us. Until next time, bye.